vibeBooks. Middlemarch by George Eliot. Summary. Book summary. What if the most powerful stories weren't about kings and conquests, but about the quiet revolutions inside everyday lives? The way a marriage reshapes a destiny, a single letter breaks a heart, a decision made in silence echoes through a whole community? Welcome to Middlemarch, a town like any other. And yet, within its narrow lanes and drawing rooms, George Eliot finds the full complexity of the human spirit. This isn't just a novel. It's a network of lives, each thread tugging another, each soul trying to live with purpose. Over the next few minutes, I'll guide you through the world of Middlemarch, its people, its secrets, its heartbreaks, and its hope. When we're done, I'll show you where to hear the full, immersive audiobook, only on vibeBooks. We begin with Dorothea Brooke, a wealthy young woman in her late teens. She's intelligent, deeply religious, and hungry for meaning. But in 1830s England, a woman's options are limited. She doesn't want a luxurious life. She wants a useful one. Dorothea and her younger sister Celia are orphans raised by their uncle, Mr. Brooke. Where Celia is charming and pragmatic, Dorothea is idealistic, even rigid. She dreams of helping the poor, designing cottages, doing great work. But the world doesn't know what to do with a woman like her. Enter Edward Casaubon. He's a clergyman, much older, dry, pedantic, obsessed with completing his life's work, the key to all mythologies, an encyclopedic attempt to unify religious traditions. Dorothea sees him as a man of greatness and agrees to marry him, believing she can serve a noble cause. Everyone else sees trouble. Her uncle disapproves mildly. Sir James Chatham, a young baronet who hoped to marry Dorothea himself, is stunned. But Dorothea is certain Casaubon is her calling. They marry. They travel to Rome for their honeymoon. And Dorothea finds herself deeply, quietly disillusioned. Casaubon is cold and dismissive. His project is lifeless. His cousin, Will Ladislaw, bright and full of energy, appears in Rome, and Dorothea is drawn to him against her better judgment. Casaubon notices. Meanwhile, in Middlemarch, we meet Dr. Tertius Lydgate, a man of science, reform, and promise. He believes in innovation, rationalism, and modern medicine. He doesn't want to be distracted by social climbing or romance. But fate has other plans. He meets Rosamond Vincy, the mayor's daughter, graceful, cultured, and ambitious in her own way. Rosamond wants a husband who will elevate her social standing. Lydgate seems perfect. Despite his better judgment, Lydgate is enchanted. He proposes, she accepts, but neither truly understands the other. Rosamond imagines wealth and refinement. Lydgate imagines support and simplicity. Their marriage soon begins to crack. Lydgate's medical reforms are resisted. He accumulates debt. Rosamond refuses to adapt. She spends. She manipulates. He begs her to change. She smiles and carries on. When Lydgate turns to Mr. Bulstrode, a banker and religious leader, for financial help, he makes a fateful compromise. Let's turn to Fred Vincy, Rosamond's brother, handsome, charming, and utterly irresponsible. He wants to marry Mary Garth, a strong-willed and principled woman from a poorer family. But Mary won't have him, at least not as he is. She knows Fred is reckless, dishonest with money, and still a boy in a man's world. Fred promises to change. He studies, he works, he apologizes, again and again. Mary stands firm. Through Fred, Eliot explores the slow path to maturity. Through Mary, she shows us what it means to love someone without compromising your values. Their story isn't dramatic, but it's one of the novel's truest. Then there's Nicholas Bulstrode, a pious man with a dark past. Once a dishonest businessman in London, he buried the truth under layers of religious righteousness. But secrets don't stay buried forever. A dying man named Raffles arrives in Middlemarch. He knows everything, and he wants money to stay quiet. Bulstrode tries to silence him. When Raffles dies under suspicious circumstances while being treated by Lydgate, rumors explode. Lydgate is accused of being Bulstrode's puppet. His reputation is ruined. His dreams die. Rosamond, ever proud, refuses to show support. Instead, it's Dorothea, of all people, who believes in Lydgate's innocence. Her courage gives him peace. But his future remains limited. Meanwhile, back in Dorothea's world, Casaubon grows paranoid. He fears she loves Will Ladislaw. He fears he will die before finishing his book, and he does. But not before leaving one last cruel surprise. In his will, he forbids Dorothea from marrying Will. If she does, she forfeits everything. Dorothea is devastated. She has money, status, and freedom, but also a chain to her past. And her feelings for Will, once buried, are now undeniable. Will, for his part, has grown. He writes, he works in politics. He distances himself to protect Dorothea's name. He refuses to be the cause of a scandal. But the heart, once awakened, cannot be silenced. In one of the novel's most moving scenes, Dorothea chooses love. She rejects wealth, ignores gossip, and marries Will. They begin a new life, modest but full of hope. Fred and Mary marry. They live simply, raise children, and do good work. Not famous, not powerful, but deeply human. Lydgate dies young, a respected doctor, but not the revolutionary he once hoped to be. His greatest contribution, perhaps, is learning the cost of pride. Rosamond remarries, a man more suited to her tastes. Dorothea and Will live abroad for a time. He enters Parliament. She supports his work quietly, passionately. She finds, at last, a purpose not in sacrifice, but in love freely chosen. What does Middlemarch teach us? That greatness doesn't always roar, that some of the most heroic lives are invisible, that compromise is painful, but sometimes necessary, and that love is not always easy, but it is always worth fighting for. George Eliot doesn't give us fantasy. She gives us truth. She writes of lives we might live, of regrets we might feel, of the long, slow process of becoming wiser, not through triumph, but through trial. And she gives us one of the greatest closing lines in literature. The growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts of those who lived faithfully a hidden life and rest in unvisited tombs. You've just traveled through the heart of Middlemarch. But to truly appreciate George Eliot's genius, to hear the full rhythm of her sentences, the quiet irony, the aching hope, you need the full audiobook. And it's waiting for you right now on vibeBooks. Visit youtube.com/@vibeBooks and listen to Middlemarch by George Eliot full audiobook. You'll experience chapter-by-chapter narration, on-screen text for easy following, a calm, immersive style perfect for reading or learning English, the full, unabridged story brought to life. Whether you're discovering Eliot for the first time or returning as a lifelong fan, Middlemarch still speaks. Because it's not just about one life, it's about all of us.